Welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner podcast. My name is Scott. I'll be your host today. Got a great guest for you. I'm going to bring him in just a minute. As always, you can find this and the back episodes of our podcast at our website, ordinarymarathoner.com. Check it out if you get a chance. You can also find them at the aggregators, places like Stitcher, TuneIn, and iTunes. If you like the show, hit that subscribe button. You'll never miss a new episode that way. Also, leave a review if you like the show. If you don't like the show, don't leave a review, please. Just help me out. You know what I mean? Help me out. It's a good way to help me out. If, hit that 4-star button. We love those reviews. It's great. You can find me over at Twitter at OrdMarathoner. That's O-R-D Marathoner. Follow me there. I'll follow you back. You can also find me over on Facebook. Our group over there, we have a discussion group called Ordinary Marathoners. It's a closed group. You got to add yourself to it, but we'll put you through right away. Really a great, supportive, wonderful group of people over there. You know, it's, you can ask questions, you can talk about your run, you can, talk about races, all that good stuff. Just a really great group of people. Add yourself to the group. We'll put you right through. You can join us, or you could be a lurker. You can sit there and read what everyone else has to say. That's fine too. I do want to discuss the Ordinary Marathon. Now, we are actually recording this on a Tuesday night, but my new thing now, we're going to release podcasts every Sunday. So every Sunday, like clockwork, set your watch to it. We are going to release a podcast every week. That is my goal. I think it's reachable. In the past, I've been sketchy with the dates, so I'm going to try to make this work. And I think it'll help the show, greatly. I do. And then, every once in a while, if we get a back-to-back episode thing, we'll try to sneak a little extra bonus podcast in the middle there. And that'll work too. So, I don't know. I'm very excited about that. Anyway, the Ordinary Marathon. So right now there's 4 days left of registration. Registration is going to end on the 20th, which means by the time I put this podcast out, it will be over. Now, I think we'll probably be able to sneak a few guys in if you guys missed it. If you really want to join, just, reach out to me and let me know. The only thing is you probably won't get your medal, your packet until after the beginning of the race. We'll send it out to you as soon as you can. But it's just going to be a little bit of a delay. But I would like to mention our sponsors really quickly. Greasy Girl Headbands. She has donated a Greasy Girl shirt to our giveaways with the race. Destination Vacation. You can find them at destination-vacation.com. The Sam Fund, a great cancer-related charity. Love to have them supporting us. We have Nathan Sports. They're going to be donating a hydration belt to our giveaways. Forever Home Running. Scott Frassard over there. That's Forever, F-U-R. They do a lot of work with rescue animals. It's a great organization. He's helping us out by organizing our race. Love to have that guy around. He's been doing a great job for us. We had 2 authors today donate signed copies of their book. Brian Burke, former guest of the show, and also Denny Cray, who was a guest just 2 weeks ago. Both of them have donated at least one signed copy of their book that we'll be giving away over the course of the Ordinary Marathon. And also Queen Bean Coffee, a wonderful woman who works over there, small business. I love these small businesses that we get to support. It is just a great, it's a great group, a great community kind of feel with these races, and I love having them. But she's donated both a gift basket and a tote bag she's going to fill with coffee, for 2 lucky winners during the Ordinary Marathon. I'm really looking forward to it. I think we're going to have a blast. I think it's going to be great. I do want to bring in our guest right now, Benjamin Hinton. Welcome to the show, Benjamin. Nice to have you on board.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's great to be on board. Love the stuff. Love the Ordinary Marathoners Facebook is how we got connected, and absolutely tremendous group. If you're a runner, just want to be encouraged. Love to run marathons, 5Ks, 10Ks, whatever. Running community would love to have you.
Yeah, and we have something else in common, which is we're both pretty much in the middle of putting our daughter to bed at the moment.
Yes.
So,
yep.
I put my 8-year-old daughter to bed just a little while ago. Samantha, we read The Little Prince, a chapter. What was on your reading docket for this evening?
We actually this evening we didn't read. It's funny because my daughter she gets into routines in and out of things, and like right now the routine is she actually tells my wife when it's time to go to bed, because they lay in our bed for a little while, and then ever since my daughter, I think when she was under a year old, we started listening to. There's a radio station, K-Love. It's a Christian radio station, and we have it on our room every night and during all nap. And so, more so than books as much, her routine is we have to listen to, more times than not, a specific song that her and I have been listening to since we were little. But the thing with books is she's into princess books right now.
Oh, I've been there.
Oh, and I'm kind of to the point where I have to fight her on what books to read, because I can only read Cinderella so many times in a row.
I hear you, man.
We watched Mulan today 3 times in a row. So
wow, yeah. You know what though? Yeah. There's a certain thing about the repetition when they're that young. Like they grab onto it, and they'll be reciting it. When you have guests over and things like that. I don't know. It's like it seems they get a better grasp when they see the repetition when they're that age. I don't know. Who am I, Dr. Spock? I don't.
Well, and they learn something new from it every time too. So
yeah, exactly.
And she actually does have a huge library though. But also our routine's a little bit off tonight. She actually's been a little under the weather the last couple of days. So her and I spent all day together and then hanging out. And then because normally she's already getting ready for bed around 8:30 and stuff. But with the schedule tonight, everything's a little off. But she's still on a routine now with my wife. They're going to go up and lay in our bed for a little bit.
Yeah, I hear you. So listen, I do want to. I kind of feel like I owe you a little bit of apology. So I met you probably about a month ago. We had a discussion, and you were doing a virtual race, and we were chatting. And I meant to have you on before your virtual race was done, and of course it's already over. So I wasn't able to have you on to sort of promote your race, and I kind of apologize for that, because we've had a full schedule. Things have been a little bit crazy. I've been training for Ironman now, so I do want to just sort of apologize for that. So I'm sorry, Ben.
Yeah, no, it's funny. Actually, one of the other things with the Ordinary Marathoners, my virtual race setup was very unique in the sense that I literally probably several days prior to we first started connecting, I was just putting pen to paper and thinking about setting up a virtual race and doing something to raise an awareness for a special cause. And then I happened to see your in Ordinary Marathoners on Facebook, the post about the upcoming virtual race. And I was like, well, how did he get this going? And that's how we kind of got connected. And Scott Prozard, who does the Ordinary Marathoners race, actually is working with me for the race we did. And it's funny, for your apology, because actually what ended up happening was, because I didn't know how to do a virtual race, and I just kind of was, just sometimes with runners, you get in the running, you just run to start or whatever the activity is. And so I didn't really know what I didn't know. And so originally we were going to have a deadline for it because it was going to be in March. But then the funny thing is, he said, Scott, he was like, you got more people than I expected. And we had so many medals that we had put out. And so it's actually an open-ended registration now. So it's great because his website, first off, he's a tremendous guy. So for a virtual race setup to work with, I know you mentioned just in your show, he's a great guy to work with. And so now you can go to that website, foreverhomerunning.com, and we've got your tremendous, your tremendous cause. And then he has his own causes as well for future races. And then we still have mine open-ended. So it's kind of awesome how, just runners in general, we just kind of all seem to come together. So now, like I said, this ours is open-ended, and I plan on the next couple of days here. Because when you just said you only have a couple more days, I was like, I know the dates of yours, but I'm like, holy cow, it's already going to be April 20th. Yeah. I mean, the whole, like you said, being busy and training for an Ironman, like this whole month is just gone by really fast. So,
we've had weather. I don't know where you live. I think you must be sort of in the Northeast as well, right?
Yeah.
So the weather has just been so bad, and it's just, it's almost like been an extension of winter. We haven't really had a spring, and it's, you look down and it's already April 20th. I think we've had one day of 70-degree weather, and man, it's just everything. I feel like it should be March.
Right.
And it's not. It's like mid-April. But Yeah, it's been terrible. So listen, you mentioned your cause. Well, you mentioned that you have a cause. And so I really want to talk about this because, one of the things that for some reason, and I don't know why it doesn't seem to happen in other sports, but for some reason running, it just is natural, like a natural flotation of great causes to this sport and people that just have really noble sort of motivations, I guess, to get people involved and to get, and to get people together for causes. And really yours is a very personal one to you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your cause?
Yeah. So, the cause, like I said, if you go to foreverhomerun.com, we have the Ordinary Marathoners, and it's great set up on the site because you can go and you can see each individual race. And ours is be encouraged every day. My philosophy, what has become my life philosophy, is be encouraged every day. To encourage others is to encourage ourselves, to love others, to love ourselves, and that's kind of what the running community has brought out of me over the last 5 years. I was in January of 2013. The actual date was January 9th of 2013. I was home alone, and my now wife, and we have a beautiful daughter, we mentioned, and we were engaged in 2013. We got engaged in 2012, so we were engaged for about 6 months. And I was home alone, and she's a school teacher, so she's like clockwork when she leaves and when she comes home. And so I had been texting her and several other friends of mine throughout the day, because actually that morning, the only thing I remember of that day is I was a little bit under the weather. I've always been an early riser as far as working out, and working out's been my kind of my life thing. So I called my trainer, and I said, I won't be coming in today. And then around 11:30, apparently, because that's when all my communication stopped with everyone, I ended up with a traumatic brain injury. Now, I don't have a recollection of it. So, that's when kind of like the timeline started. So my wife, she found me at 4:30 when she came home. And it was just, I guess, a bloody mess because I'd either fallen down the flight of stairs into the basement or going up the stairs, and I fell backwards. So I was fighting consciousness in and out for about 4 hours. And when she came home, originally, I had several times tried to get to the couch or, maybe your phone, whatever. So I fell several more times, in attempts to get up. So we got to the hospital. Best friend of mine, actually, that kind of my story's kind of blessings within adversities. My best friend in Pittsburgh, where we live, he's my age, 32. He's a life flight director at a hospital nearby, and so he's a medical background. And she called him that day because I was coherent when she came home, allegedly, and I was talking to her. And so they were talking, and he heard me gagging in the background. He said, "You need to get him to the hospital right away." So she did, and so then I was in the hospital for 18 days, wow. And I don't really have recollection for the first 11. So multiple concussions, what's called a vestibular system, which, I mean, it's funny because I feel like I've been through medical school just because of the trauma of learning everything through the experience. So it's like there's so many things I've learned, and that's one of the reasons I got into running, because the vestibular system, you have two vestibular systems, one on your right side and one on your left side, and it's closely connected to your eardrums. And so on my left side was shattered for both the eardrum and then also the vestibular system. So I had brain bleeds, and so and the thing is, like I said, I was very active growing up and active before this happened, and wasn't considered to be in really good shape. So no one knows why I fell. I mean, it could have been an accident as opposed to some kind of a medical mystery.
So I was just gonna say, was it like? So do you think it was from is everything from the impact, or was it something that? Or was the impact did you have some kind of aneurysm? I don't know. I'm just talking. My education on this is from TV and ER. And is maybe you had some kind of aneurysm that caused you not to remember and fall or become disoriented or something. Do they know what the difference is, or was it just the blunt force of the fall?
Well, there was definitely, several things that could be a possibility. Now there was a blunt, part of the fall because of the flight of stairs. Because it's just concrete underneath the carpet, but they don't know, like, so, the interesting thing about my journey is, I was born at 6 weeks old. I was born with meningitis encephalitis, which is a neurological disorder. And so I made it through that, luckily. And, the doctors had told my mom that I would have severe deficits by, if I survived at like 5. And that kind of ironic thing is they mentioned things like cognitive deficits, that he would probably lose his hearing at an early age and so forth. And I was fine until I was 13 years old. And then in 13, a virus that attacked my retina, it's called retinal necrosis, it took my eyesight. And that virus stemmed from meningitis, because meningitis, it can be, you can have it and it's just dormant. So one of the things with this traumatic brain injury is, because I had the virus in my retina at 13, I had it again when I was 16. Luckily, they were able to save the vision in my left eye. So, but from 16...
So can you see just out of one eye, or you can see out of both?
I can only see out of one eye, because the condition for the retinal necrosis, especially in children, is so rare, especially at that time when I was 13. We only found out one other case with someone my age, and he was in China. And so when I was originally diagnosed with the condition, I was misdiagnosed. And so retinal necrosis, it's a virus. And so what ended up happening is I was diagnosed with pink eye originally. And pink eye, the steroidal drops were given to me, increased the, basically was the, made the virus Hulk-like. And so the virus spread quicker. And so the retina patched, and they couldn't save it despite surgery. So when it came back at 16, because of infectious disease doctors and because of the doctors I was already working with, which was, some of my angels at Children's Hospital in Pittsburgh, they're like, okay, we know what this is. Now we got to take a newer route. And so they were able to save the vision of my left eye. But I mean, it started to try to be patched. And so when I was 16, for about 4 months, I was 2400. So that pretty much all I could see was like really bright lights. And then, luckily, because the virus went down through prayers, there was just one time in the process where 1 week checkup, I was 2400. And about 2 weeks later, they're really out of the blue, nothing to really say what was going to go one way or the other, but it was 2200. And then 2 weeks after that, it was 2040. And then I've been fortunate ever since with the left eye. So
wow, yeah.
At 28, when I had a traumatic brain injury, maybe it was a seizure, or maybe it was a stroke. So it's been really hard for me to, not so much anymore, but accept, like, okay, what was it? Was it like did I trip? Did I fall? Was it a medical condition? And if it
you're just never going to know.
Yeah, and a medical condition like that, then you're always going to have this what ifs. So running is really, I've become healthier now through running than I ever have. And so I'm so thankful for that, because just in case something would ever come up, I feel like I kind of on the better hand of it. Yeah.
And, we're going to head to break right now. And we'll come back and talk about, I definitely want to talk about your running in particular. Yeah. Obviously it's a running podcast, but I find your story like so incredible. Just, the challenges that you've had to overcome. You kind of lay it out there as, this is what happened to me, but from my perspective, it's like, man, like you lost your vision. You had this happen to you 4 hours that you were like drifting in and out of consciousness. My God. And now I see what you're doing with your Facebook, shows and your race and really, an incredible job. So I want to keep talking about this. Let's head to break, and we're going to be right back with, Benjamin Hinton. Hey guys, my friend Lauren is creating an incredible resource for runners and triathletes. It's called raceadvisors.com. She has amassed a list of thousands of races, 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons, marathons, ultra marathons, and triathlons, and anything in between. If you're thinking about running a race, look it up and check out the reviews. Have a favorite race of your own? Look it up. See what others have to say about it. Or better yet, leave a review of your own. raceadvisors.com. Read it, race it, review it. I want to tell you guys about another great small business I've come across while doing this podcast. It's called Greasy Girl Headbands. I know. I have very short hair, so what could I possibly know about headbands? Well, I know that I bought one for my wife Stephanie and daughter Samantha this Christmas. Stephanie, she uses it for what it was designed for, running and working out. But 8-year-old Sam, well, she just wears hers all the time. So the question is, how can you get one? Well, that's easy. You head on over to greasygirlheadbands.com. It's spelled Greeecie girlheadbands.com and select from the many styles and options they have available. I'm sure you'll find one that's just perfect for you. All right, I'm back with Ben Hinton. Now, I should have asked you before I even came back from break, but is it Ben Hinton or Benjamin? What do you like to be called?
Well, it's funny because so my mom growing up, she would call me Benjamin, and it's pronounced Benjamin. But the best part of it is that after my traumatic brain injury, I mean, which I have a different limelight of it now, but definitely the darkest time with everything I've gone through. But I tell people now all the time, I said, look, I just go by Ben because, quite frankly, Benjamin I can't really spell, so I just keep it simple and I just go with Ben. It's 3 letters, so
there you go.
Even I can't forget that one.
It sounds good, Ben. But so let me ask you this: you I know you're a strong runner. I know I've seen some of your times. I know you're a pretty fast guy. Was running always your sport, or was there a time maybe before all your injury and things like that where you were maybe into other sports as well?
So originally growing up, dealing with adversities, because the adversities I've dealt with and I've gone through have been kind of different chapters of my life. So growing up, my mom, it was a single parent. And so ever since I could remember, the first sport and first thing I fell in love with was basketball. And so ever since I was a kid, because I grew up in the 90s, Michael Jordan, which I actually fell in love with the Indiana Pacers and Reggie Miller.
I was a Knicks fan, at the time,
yeah, and you know what?
Puts us at odds.
The rivalry was amazing. Allen Houston and I mean, just so many incredible Larry Johnson. I mean, incredible playoff moments. And so I don't know what it was, but I always wanted to play in the NBA ever since I was little. And so that was my first sport. And it's ironic because, and I don't know if this was stemming from a meningitis encephalitis. I don't know if this was just because of how active a kid as I was. Because as much as I run right now, basketball is what I did before. And so, like right now, my resting heart rate, and it's been like this forever. It's a medical mystery maybe, but it's also a blessing. I mean, it's why I've been able to do good things with running the past 5 years when I picked it up. But my resting heart rate is between 29 and 32.
Yeah, that's pretty low.
Yeah, and so growing up, the funny thing is, it was always basketball. That was my focus, especially when I went through hard times like losing sight in my right eye and then sight in my left eye. I always, because my dream was, it was like, okay, I got to get back on the court. I got to do this. I got to work harder. I got to put up more shots. And so I would actually do things like the gym that we lived near, like things like maybe 3 miles. And so because my grandpa, who was usually my ride, when there were times, especially in the summer when he couldn't take me, I would play with older kids, or not even kids, but adults as much as I could. I would run from my house to the gym, which looking back at it is very funny because I was a runner and I didn't even know it.
Yeah. So 3 miles is tough. I mean, when you're a kid, that's like, yeah, that's forever.
Yeah. And the thing is, I would be in a hurry because I'm like, I got to get down there by noon. I got to be, ready to warm up and all that stuff. So it was an afterthought that really, the journey for me is kind of like, God had put running in my life before I even knew it. And
yeah, I mean, not only that, but you ran 3 miles to the court, then you played, and then you probably had to run home.
Yeah, and then I'd run home. And so, and my favorite running story is a lot of my running is kind of very Forrest Gump like. I just started running, and one time my father. Well, 2 things real quick. One time my grandfather, who was my grandfather. If he was alive, I would love to do a DNA test with him and Clint Eastwood. I think they're somehow related. And so I was taught and brought up because I was always living around my grandparents when we moved to Pittsburgh, not to backtalk my grandfather. And I mean, he intimidated me. So there's one time in particular, we got in an argument, and I knew if I would have continued the argument, even though I was right, I would have paid for it. So I actually had a Forrest Gump moment where I got so frustrated and so mad that I didn't want to argue with him because I was scared to. I just started running. And I ended up running 8 miles without knowing it. And the funniest part about that is that when I stopped running, I had and this was before cell phones and everything like that. So I didn't know how far I ran. And I had to call him to come pick me up. And I was 8 miles down the road. So that was kind of one of those other running moments looking back of, that I just started running. And one other time, I had a friend who moved across town. And I'm a very competitive person, which has helped me in running and other things. And I didn't know how far it was, but we guessed it was about 13 miles, which I didn't even think about half marathons and things like that at the time. And we made a bet one time. Because he just moved across town. I said, "Hey, do you think I can run from my house to your house in 2 hours?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't know. We'll see." And again, we didn't think of it as distances like, "Oh, it's a half marathon, this and that, whatever." Yeah. We just made a bet, and so and I won the bet, which was funny. But again, I was kind of built for running before I knew it. And so after my traumatic brain injury, though, the darkest part of my times for me was my identity was basketball. And not only was it playing, but as I got older, coaching became part of it. And so after the traumatic brain injury with a significant cognitive issue for quite a while, about a year and a half, I didn't know what else to do. And so I did pick up my first half marathon after my injury, and about 8 weeks after I came home from the hospital. And I simply did it because I'd signed up prior to my accident, and they told me, and I told them when I called, I said, I'm not going to be able to run. The doctors won't let me, but they wouldn't refund me. And they said, well, for you to get your money back, you need to transfer it. And so I got really upset. And again, the competitive drive, because my doctor said not to run the half marathon. My family said not to. And now I'm being told that I'm basically going to lose money because even though I told them I wasn't allowed.
Right.
So at that point, it was kind of a defining moment for me. It was, okay, I'm going to run this first half marathon. And just because that's going to be running off in the sunset, essentially. I need to have this because I'm 28 years old. We're going to get married. You want to have kids. I need to do something for me because I'm not obviously at this time. I didn't think I'd be able to do these kind of things for myself. So I did the first half marathon, and the beauty of it was just the finish. No PR, no one to race against. It was just it was against me and for me. But then I took a year off from running because I didn't think I could do it and keep up with it until 2014 when I went through some rehab and things were going a little bit better. I found out ways to dedicate more time to running. Did my second half marathon in 2014, and I increased my time by 21 minutes. And after that one, that's when I realized.
Meaning you did better.
Yeah, I improved my time by 21 minutes. I was 2 hours and 10 minutes my first half marathon.
Yeah.
And 2014, I want to say April 2014. In 2015, in October, in my hometown, I did 1 hour and 49 minutes.
Wow.
And at that point, I realized that, as I mentioned kind of before, these things of I have a low resting heart rate and I had lost some weight and I could actually run and actually improve things that were deficits from my injury. So my vestibular system that was shattered controlled my balance system. And I was labeled at risk to fall category, meaning I had to have a wristband that said at risk to fall, and I had to go through therapy for 6 months. And the more that I ran, the more I naturally gained, my balance. And the ironic thing too is I can't see out of my right eye, and my vestibular system that was shattered in my ear is in my left ear and left side. So that it's kind of ironic that happened on the right side of the brain and the left side of the brain, because it eventually compensated itself out. And then in 2015, I was like, you know what? I'm going to keep going. This is helping me. This is helping me to, at a time in my life where, you get married and you have children. As a man, you feel like that you should have your own personal relationship down all right, as far as, who you are as a man and stuff.
Well, this sport is so self-empowering, it's just,
yeah.
And I think it can, exactly what you're saying. It can give you like, I don't know, sort of like a backbone or a like something to build on. It's, and it seems like you've gotten a lot out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because since 2015, when I picked up the marathons, and because I've been able to improve, and the thing is not just improve my times, but it's just the personal development it's given me, because it's that one sport you talked about it, the sport being unique. It's a sport that, all runners wear their emotions on their sleeves. They all have a story. But all runners, it's that one sport that, it's the running gear. You don't have helmets. You don't have this. You don't have uniforms. It's just you. That's the person. You see them running, and they have a story, unlike any other sport. And the thing about it is, look, if you want to find out if you're crazy, run a marathon. If you want to find out who you are, run too. And that's kind of how it was with me. After the first marathon, I was like, okay, well, I'm kind of addicted, and I might be crazy. And then going to that second one, it was like the amount and the depth that I've learned about myself in life, per marathon is just incredible. So now I'm on to trying to qualify for the Boston Marathon. And if all goes well, to help raise, brain injury awareness and, just for health, at this point, why not? If it doesn't work out, I had a traumatic brain injury, so you can call me crazy, but I'm going to shoot for the 2020 Olympics. If you continue to make progress, why not shoot for the stars? I got
to tell you, I remember you mentioned that to me the other day, and like my first reaction is what? But I love people with big goals. Like, I love people with goals that when they say them, it immediately like if for me to think, wow, this guy's crazy. Like cause I love that. Like, so like when I think about personally qualifying for Boston, I've mentioned it to some other people, like that might be like one of the things that I really love to do. My PR is something like 5:16. So I would have a long way. It would be a multi-year, task for me. But, when I think of something like that, I mean, I know that some people say, oh, you're crazy. Oh, just, take a little step at a time. But, we had Mike Taruso on the show last week. And Mike just qualified for Boston, and one of the stranger coincidences that have me believing the Matrix is true, you guys ran the same race last weekend. That's right. Yep. And he said you were like a blur. You were that you just smoked him. So so I know you got it in you. You had the speed is in you somewhere. So It sounds like whatever it's going to be a pretty cool ride.
Yeah, it really is. And, it's for me at this point, like I said, I'm kind of getting to the point where before my traumatic brain injury, growing up, not being able to see out of one eye and having different issues and things like that and getting teased on whatever. I don't know if it's because of just the age that I was and growing up with a single mom, if it was just felt like I had to be the man of the house. But labels being thrown at me, they didn't affect me. And it wasn't until after I had a traumatic brain injury, and maybe because of the age that I was at 28, I became the most vulnerable ever. And so now, through running, it's kind of helped me to put, I don't want to say those walls back up, but allowed me to have self-identification in something that I'm good at, that now labels don't matter. And so I love the idea. It's kind of almost like the underdog approach. I love the idea that I can say with confidence and just to encourage others that this is what I want to do. Because again, if I don't do it, one of two things is going to happen. One, I'm going to encourage somebody in some other way. Or two, if I do make it, that's even better. So it's kind of a win-win situation. One of the things I like to say is focus on the mission, on the mission, not the position. And that's what a lot of runners do. A lot of runners, they want PRs, they want medals and things like that. But their stories are so much more than medals. Boston Marathon yesterday.
I was just going to say that the second place girl, no one expected her to even come close.
Right, and she wins, and then the weather conditions and the stories. I mean, because here's the thing: if I really wanted a Boston Marathon medal, I could go to eBay, or I could just buy one somehow. But to earn the medals, and the thing about running that's great is that's the one sport that you truly have to earn it, especially in the marathon. If you want the marathon medal, you've got to finish the marathon. And it's so funny in the society of the whole sports participation. A lot of kids, they grow up and they get participation medals. Well, you don't get participation medals in running. If you finish, you get a medal.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. And, I've gained the confidence, and also it's helped me in my speed. It's helped me in running because I've learned about the sport. But the encouragement you get from other people and other stories, that helps you with your pace, that helps you with your training, because it's motivational on the days that you don't think you can run fast or you don't think you can, do a workout. you remember something, whether it's from yourself, your own experience, or someone else's, and that helps you. And for me, what started out as I was running from a traumatic brain injury because I didn't know what it was, how much it controlled me. So I look at it as, and it's helped me with my speed because I was running from fear originally, and now I'm running on faith. So I look at it as, walk on fear, run on fear, walk on faith, run on faith. So my story is kind of, look, I've gained stamina, I've gained speed because I've learned how to control my emotions. Because to have a dream, whether it's running or not, it's faith. So, and not to see it out of one eye, not to hear it out of one ear. It's very vision based. I'm definitely not I can't really see, what the dream is, so I'm going to use my vision. I'm just going to give it my best shot.
So let me ask you this. Now, you said you've run 2, or have you run more marathons in the past, or 2?
No. So what I started doing in 2015, because I started losing weight, and I actually, through my traumatic brain injury, what got me into running was I found an all-natural nutrition and through a direct sales company that you can order as a customer. And so I've been taking that for 4 years, and it's helped with my recovery. It's helped with my sleep, things that I had issues with from 2013 to April of 2014 because of my accident. And so once I started to be able to work out consistently, and I lost some weight, I got better sleep, and different things and moods and stuff improved. Like right now I'm on a running streak of 117 days with today. But I started doing two marathons every year in 2015. So this year's the only year I've not done it because I made my wife a promise that I would only do the one to try to qualify for the Boston Marathon for next year. So I'm going to focus on some other smaller races, which is why I happen to run into our buddy
Mike
the other day.
So let me. How close were you? What's your? It seems to me like almost like was qualifying for Boston ever a goal in the past? Have you never even tried before? Or almost seems like the way Mike was talking, like you might be qualifying for Boston even just by accident.
Well, so long story short, originally before my traumatic brain injury, and this is a whole nother podcast or a whole nother thing. But originally, the craziest thing is in 2012. I wanted to train to be in the Olympics for 2016. But the funny thing about it is, for whatever reason, and I don't even know where this came from, but I wanted to be a triathlete. And I think I wanted it to be that sport because I didn't think that I could run 26.2 miles.
Wow.
So I was like, well, triathlon's a sport I could do. I don't have to run as many miles. And because I didn't think I was a runner at the time, which is the whole irony of it. Well, then after my traumatic brain injury, I couldn't ride on bikes. And I actually had an accident where I broke my collarbone on a bike. And I wasn't even trying to ride it, but that's just another story. And so then I was like, you know what? I can't ride bikes. I can't play basketball. I started running. I was like, well, let's just see what happens. And I fell in love with the marathon after my first one. And so because through my focus, I've been able to get better at it. And last year, in September of 2017, I was on pace to get to Boston qualifying for this year, and I tripped over my right shoelace, mile 18,
Jeez.
where I actually...
Which marathon was this, by the way?
This was the Erie Presque Isle Marathon, and that's one of the two that I run every single year, Pittsburgh and Erie. And I've never tripped over my shoelace. And other than that, the only time I fell was down a flight of stairs. But I tripped over over my shoelace, and I fell and I cut the left side of my not cut, but had a rash on my left side of my head, and then my knees were scraped up, and I had a moment of kind of like that traumatic brain injury label.
Yeah.
Of like, okay, well, I just fell again, and I didn't think I had a traumatic brain injury, but I'm like, okay, I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be running. I can't be saying I'm running. But so after a couple minutes of sulking, I was like, look, I got to get this done. I'm still going to get a PR. I'm never going to get to the Boston Marathon. I'm never going to get to the Olympics if I just give up, a certain mile in a race. So I finished. And the funny thing is, I finished with a PR. I got 3 hours and 11 minutes. So my cutoff time for Boston is 3 hours and 5 minutes.
That's pretty close.
Yeah, and the best part is I qualified for the Chicago Marathon and didn't even realize it until like 3 days later. So heading into this year, I'm really excited, and just keeping my training, and doing things like the virtual runs for the ordinary marathoners and forever runners and ordinary marathoners, and just being connected to runners. The encouragement is only going to help me to get even closer.
Yeah, and I definitely, before we go here, I definitely want to get the name of your group. It's not a group. Is it just your Facebook page where you put out your videos? Is that just following you, or is that?
Yeah, so I do Facebook. I do a lot of videos on my personal Facebook page, and I love to connect with people. From runners and as a basketball coach, and also through direct sales and helping people with the nutritional goals and things like that, especially what's called the natural health revolution. Because I came from and ever since I was little, going to the hospital all the time and medications and things like that. I'm not against doctors. One of my best friends is the life flight director in Pittsburgh, but I'm more of the natural medicine. I'm more of the, that kind of thing. And so I do personal Facebook pages to be encouraged every day. But I also do them on my Be Encouraged Every Day page, where I have tried to separate a little bit of my personal content with my brain injury awareness content. So I'm kind of can be found on any platform at this point.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, your messages are always really, it's exactly what you say. They're very encouraging. I get the little Facebook Live notification almost every time you go on, and I try to check it out. It's I think you're doing a good thing, and I think it's one thing to kind of focus on yourself after all that you've gone through, and really no one would blame you if you just decided that you wanted to improve yourself, but then reach out to others and encourage other people, and then to do it for a cause. I think it makes it that much more special.
Yeah, and and like I said, to close, really, just exactly like you said. It's for me, it's focus on the mission and not the position. So the Olympics, the Boston Marathon, those are positions. But the thing is, they come and they go, and so whether you make them or not, and so to be able to have a mission, that's a purpose in life. And someone once said, it's always stuck with me. They said, a legacy is not something you leave to someone, it's something you leave in someone. So if I can leave a legacy, and if it's failing through running, but it's the legacy of encouraging others, especially with brain injury awareness and mental illness and things like that, and what running has done for me in the running community. The running community theme seems to be finish with us. It's that one sport. It's not, I'm trying to.
Look what happened at the Boston Marathon yesterday, right? Lynn didn't stop for Shalane to go to the bathroom and waited and helped her, and then she winds up winning.
Yeah, she still ends up winning. Yeah, and you want to finish with us. The other thing is focus on, focus on the effort and not the results. And so, if I just focused on myself, which I do to an extent, which is great. You need to have that 14 minutes a day is 1% of your day. So you need to at least dedicate 1% of your day to yourself, whether it's personal development, reading or running, working out, whatever the case is. But then have that time to invest in other things, other people, because service to many leads to greatness. And so, focusing on the effort is so great because, that's how I get to enjoy my runs, because it's otherwise you drive yourself crazy going, even a 5K, 10K, you might get bored. But if you focus on the effort and not the results, it's so much more enjoyable. And, so getting the qualifications that I want, it's kind of the icing on the cake.
Yeah, it's the journey.
It's absolutely the journey. So I absolutely love it. And like I said, I love ordinary marathoners. I've opened up. The thing with me is I did so much running on my own and training on my own from 2015 to last year, really, where it was just me. I encouraged when I could. And, any encouragement is good encouragement, but I encourage so much on a bigger level now because of joining groups like Ordinary Marathoners and Sub 30 groups and things like that. So, running and running communities, and it might be something different for other people, but it just opens up so much more. It opens yourself up so much more as well.
I agree. I totally agree. I created this group on a friend of mine just advised me. He's like, oh, you should do a Facebook group. I'm like, Then I have to, police it and moderate it and all that stuff. I don't want to buy. He's like, no, you should do it. And I tell you, I've met the most amazing people. So it's been well worth it. And, I'm glad I took his advice and did it. But, the people here are incredible. So listen, when we want to root for you. When is the big race?
So the big race is going to be September 9th.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about
now, are you gonna do the race? Are you trying to do the run streak all the way through, or are you gonna taper?
That is a really interesting. And if anybody has any feedback, I would love to hear it, because I don't really know at this point. I mean,
assuming you get there. I mean, it's September. It's a long ways away. I don't want to.
Yeah, and I mean, and the thing is, because I'm at 117 right now. And the run streak, one of the reasons it started is my heart doctor, I had a loop recorder put in, which is kind of like a, it's sort of like a, whatchamacallit, not catheters, I don't know why I can't think of it right now.
Oh, stent?
Yeah, no, not stent, but the, when you have them put in your, they monitor your heart rate, I can't remember the name of it right now, but so the loop recorder, what it does is it records your heart rate 24/7 in case they would need to do something, and it could record certain moments.
Right.
So I had it taken out earlier this year. And there's one thing about my running streak and about all the marathons I do, I follow up with doctors all the time. And I'm saying, look, this is what I'm doing. What do you think about it? I mean, there's certain stubbornness to an extent, but there's people that I trust. And so I had this loop recorder taken out this year, and I have a Garmin now, because I'm like, after having a loop recorder in, I was always thinking about my heart rate, always thinking about my breathing. And now I can actually look at it on my watch and stuff. And so I actually, the cardiologist, when he took the loop recorder out, is when my run streak started. And I say, look, I'm on this run streak. I'm about 8 days in, and he had the loop recorder taken out on a Friday, and it's an outpatient procedure. It's still like right above the heart, because that's essentially where the loop recorder was. And I said, look, can I do this run streak around this procedure? And he said, yeah, you could, just take it easy and things like that. So in our follow-up, I said, look, I'm thinking about starting this run streak. What do you think about it? And he's like, I think it's fantastic. Go for it. He's like, I don't know why, but you have this heart that seems to be one of the strongest heart muscles I've ever seen. And he's like, I love it. Exercising is great. Just go with it and see how it happens. Well, we actually have a follow-up on Thursday of this week, because I am going to have him check out my VO2 max, because of what my Garmin says. I want to know how accurate that is. And so one of the things I'm going to bring up to him is I'm going to say, look, here's my run streak. This is what I'm at. I'm doing a marathon in September. What are your thoughts? So it's kind of going to be one of those on the seat of my pants kind of thing. Yeah. But I will say the amazing thing about run streaks is if you do it right. What's amazing about it is, training for marathons can be a mental task, because you're worried about your miles, you're worried about your tapering, you're worried about so many things. Whereas the run streak, you just get into that habit, and you get to this point where, oh, today I feel like doing 2 miles. Today I feel like doing 8 miles. And you kind of naturally build in this speed work and hill work, because you're just going out to run. And I've actually been able to break 3 PRs just on the treadmill in the last month and a half. So I'm going to continue the run streak as long as it continues to help me. So far so good. So we'll see. I mean, because I don't know. I think right now it's helping me, especially from the mental game, because that way I don't have to worry about all the tapering and this and that. Because my cool down runs will just be like a 2 mile.
Yeah.
So go from there.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think it's a good habit. It's a good habit to get into. So listen,
as long
man,
as you love it.
I wish you the best of luck. Now I'm gonna have to write this on my calendar. We got to make sure we follow you, and I know you're gonna get it. So now this would be qualifying for Boston in probably 2020, I would imagine.
No, it's actually, so this race is one of the last races ones of the season to qualify for the following year.
Nice.
So realistically, and it's funny with the Garmin, and I mean, I'm
I don't want to jinx you. We shouldn't even talk about. Well, let's not even. We shouldn't even.
Well, and it's.
I don't want you to trip again. Then you're gonna blame me.
Yeah. Hey, if there's any sponsors out there for no trip shoelaces, let me know.
I get it. Wait.
I bought a pair, but then the funny thing is I accidentally ripped them, so they weren't no tie anymore.
Oh, I wish, so I had the nicest lady send me these things about shoelaces that, Lace Lock, they're called. Lace Lock.
Oh yeah.
And so she sent me a couple of them. And the thing is, I don't like talking about products that I don't use.
Yeah.
And so the Lace Lock, they work great. It's just but for me personally, I've never had an issue where I've tripped over my shoe or had shoelaces come untied or needed, and they were just kind of a little bit of, it was just an added step every time I went to go run that in order to put them in. So I wasn't going to use them. I didn't think they were bad. And she was wonderful, so I never ever mentioned them. But it sounds like for you, that would be like a perfect addition for you. So I'm glad I got to drop her name because she was really sweet. And the product, it does what it says it does. It's just for me, it wasn't something that I would use. So I'm glad I got that in. Good job, Ben.
Yeah. I used them for a while. And the other thing too, though, it was unique is the shoelaces that I had for the last pair of shoes that I had, which actually I still ran with them after they they not came untied, but I had to the locks I had to cut them in, but I still ran with them. I put a lot of miles on those shoes, but the shoes I have now, the shoelaces are different, and so they're much shorter, and I haven't had an issue with them. And I haven't also fallen over shoelaces since last fall, knock on wood. But yeah, and the thing about it's interesting because I don't really feel a whole lot of pressure right now for next year's Boston, but the one thing that's crazy is with this run streak and running is how quickly life flies by. We were talking about how quickly April's gone by. It seems like it goes by so much faster when you're on a run streak. And so looking down the pipeline for me, it's kind of like for this goal and this dream, 2020 Olympics, it seems so far away, but it's like 2019 Boston Marathon, January of 2020 Olympic qualifying. So it's like that stuff is just like right around the corner.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be fun, and I really truly appreciate the encouragement. And finish, win, lose, or fall again. It's gonna be a good time. Any rate, as long as I can encourage others, because I know they'll be encouraging me along the way. So it's gonna be awesome.
I wish you the best of luck, Ben. It's gonna be fun to watch. It's gonna be fun, and I feel honored that I'm even connected to this effort. So good for you, man. All right. So I want to thank you for coming on. It's been great. This has been great. The time just flew by. Yeah.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Now, did I miss any of your social media network channels or anything like that? Because I usually write these things down. I don't, because I'm a terrible host. But
no, really, if you go to you can find it on Facebook, and you can, because actually the virtual race is on Facebook, and also they're foreverhomerunning.com, which we have the Ordinary Marathoners, which is coming up, and then the other races that Scott Broussard has. But if you go to Be Encouraged Every Day on Facebook, or if you go to Be Encouraged Every Day on Instagram, those are the two primary, especially Instagram. A lot of my running motivation, a lot of my running things are on that particular Instagram.
Gotcha.
And I do some things on I sometimes try to share them too, but a lot of my videos will be on my personal page. But I try to share them to the other platforms when I can. Gotcha.
All right. Well, good. And now you guys know where to find Ben. And again, thanks so much for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me on. This has been a great time, and I can't wait to be running in the Ordinary Marathoners.
It's coming up soon. All right. So we're gonna wrap it up there. Next week. I don't have a. I have a list of guests here. I have a big board. There's like 8 people on it, and I got to start making some phone calls and see who we're going to bring on next. But I'll be ready next Sunday. I promise. That's my new thing. Every Sunday, you're going to hear Ordinary Marathoner podcast. Until then, always remember, when it comes to running, I'm no expert. I'm just ordinary.